Hi guys, I will entitle this video, What is Ham Radio and Why Should I Care? You know, we live in an internet age when everybody is connected with everybody else in the world, and we got cell phones in our pockets, and we can keep in contact with the world. So why should I care about ham radio? You know, isn't it just like CB? Why do I want that? I don't. Well, let's start with some things ham radio is. First thing is ham radio is radio communications. It's not CB, even though CB is a way of communicating via radio. Now let's go into some of the things and some of the uses for ham radio. The first thing, and this won't appeal to a lot of people, but it comes in really handy to the people it does appeal to, is if you have a drone or a remote controlled aircraft, you can get your ham radio license, use a different frequency, use more power, and get more use and better range of the equipment you've already got. Now that's a use that won't appeal to a lot of people. What will appeal to more people? And the answer to that is telemetry. Now what is telemetry? It's broadcasting data. Any data you can collect automatically, you can send it via radio. Now there's something called APRS. I think it's Amateur Position Reporting System or something like that. But basically what it is you send this data and it's encoded a certain way. Other radios running APRS can get the data. You've got APRS gateways that are connected to the internet. When they hear your data, they turn around and upload it to the internet. And you can use it combined with GPS to give your coordinates where you are. Maybe you went out camping or something. Now, why is this helpful? Well, the way the Weather Service uses it is they have you stick a little weather station out there. It collects the temperature, the amount of rainfall, the wind speed, the barometric pressure, that type of thing. And then the weatherman's able to pull up a website, look at the APRS data. And if you've ever wondered how he says, well, in this neighborhood we've got this, this temperature, and over here it's this temperature, and that's how. He's able to get all this information via ham radio. Now, how could that help you is, of course, if you got a hunting lodge or vacation house and you want to know the weather there before you leave the house, you can use that. But again, any data you can collect automatically. Say you take a Raspberry Pi, hook it up to a motion detector, stick it out on a tree somewhere, or a wildlife camera, stick it out on a tree somewhere, hook the Raspberry Pi up, and every hour have it upload the amount of times that camera went off in the last hour. Well, then you know the amount of wildlife activity you've got there every hour of the day, every day. If you're a hunter, you know when to go out there and hunt. You know when you have the most activity. That could help. But this will appeal to a wider range of people. Say you do outdoor sports, outdoor activities. Say you go hiking, you go camping, you dirt bikes, boating, anything like that. You go into areas with spotty cell phone coverage. You go into areas might not have cell phone coverage at all. You don't have internet access. You want to be able to keep track of all the people in your party. If they don't show back up at the rendezvous point, you want to know where they are. If they're hurt or whatnot, you want to know where they are. You can search for days looking for somebody that's lost. Or if they're running APRS on a ham radio, you can, your radio might be in range, probably will be, and you can just look at your radio, find out where they are, and go get them. No big searches combing the woods for them. You know where they are. This could come in real handy because, there are too many times where we see on the news where, hikers have gone missing, or, mountain climbers have gone missing, or somebody ran off the road in their car, and this type of deal. Too many situations like that it doesn't think, well, what if I could just have something that uploaded my position, or upload that person's position, and mom could sit at home and know where you are and know where you've traveled, and that type of thing could come in real handy. But here's something that's, everybody watching this video, this is going to appeal to you. And you didn't think ham radio would come in handy. Here's how it's coming in really handy. Have you ever driven out of cell phone coverage? Your phone dropped, the call dropped, and you had to wait a few minutes to call them back? Have you ever had a storm blow through and knock out cell phone service for you? Everybody's had one or both of those situations happen. So why in emergencies are you relying on the cell phone that has already failed you? When that storm comes through and knocks out your cell phone service, maybe it knocks a tree on the house. You're driving through that area where your phone call gets dropped. Maybe the engine does too. Maybe a tire does. Your car breaks down and you're outside of cell phone coverage. These things happen. They happen every day. Now, you may be able to walk, miles to get back in cell phone coverage, or somebody may be passing by and you can flag them down. Not really safe this day and age to flag down strangers. So, you study 30 minutes a night, couple of weeks, spend $15 to take your ham radio test, the first one. And you get the test, you pass the test, spend $50 on a little Baofeng handheld. It can go in the glove compartment, you can clip it to your belt, stick it in your purse, throw it in the backpack. It gives you communications for the times when your cell phone fails you. And amateur radio operators, a lot of them are trained to help in disasters. They're trained to help in emergencies. When you have your own little personal emergency, when you're out camping, you're outside of coverage, and your kid gets bitten by a snake and you need an ambulance and you need it now. It's really nice to be able to pick up something and not have to run miles to get back in cell phone service. Be able to pick up something right then and there and talk to somebody who can have the proper services on the way to you, where you are. Now, everybody that's out there that is watching this video, that appeals to you because you've been in situations where the cell phone has failed you. And if you get your ham radio license and a little $50 handheld, at the times when your neighbor can't even call for pizza, you can call around the world, And I say around the world, there are internet linked repeaters. You can use some of those and they're really fun and everything. But the thing is when you need it, it's there. That's the big thing. I've also talked, halfway across the country using a little handheld, going through a satellite, going through the space station. Yes, you can talk to the space station. They've got an APRS repeater. They can send your repeater or data. They can repeat it out, and all the stations that on that side of the country can get it. I sent ground control to Major Tom to the space station. You can do all this. You can talk through the satellites to people. The space station sometimes sends pictures. The Russians just sent out pictures, celebrating their satellite program. They sent out some pictures. I got a couple of those. And everything I've mentioned so far, everything I mentioned is that first test. You can study 30 minutes a day for a couple of weeks. Go pass it, $15. Everything I've mentioned you can do with that first test. With minimum effort, minimum cost. Everything I just mentioned. What else can you do with ham radio? Yes, you can talk around the world. And you say, well, I can do that now. You're doing that now, making this video. You're talking to people around the world. True. But I'm paying for an ISP. I'm using their wires. I'm, using the system they set up to make this possible. And all of that. Hundreds, maybe thousands of people behind the scenes are making this channel of communication open between you and me. Well, I've got an antenna outside. I went and bought a bunch of parts from Home Depot, and I bought some wire off of eBay, and I put my little antenna together, I got a radio I bought, but it hooks into my little homemade antenna. On the 81st anniversary of Amelia Earhart's disappearance, I sent my voice 6,200 miles around the earth to the island right next to the island that Amelia Earhart had her runway on. I sent my voice and was able to talk to people on the next island over on the 81st anniversary of her disappearance. That's something, what was between me and those people? Air. I was able to use a homemade antenna made out, with wires that I picked up off of eBay, just normal wire. My radio and 100 watts, the power of a light bulb, to communicate to somebody 6,200 miles away. That's something. There's a guy on the coast of northern Africa, a little city-state called Ceuta. It's a little Spanish city-state on the coast of northern Africa. One day I talked to him by voice. 100 watts, the power of a light bulb, talking to some guy in northern Africa. After we finished talking, I added him to Facebook. He added me. We're friends now. Would have never met him were it not for ham radio. I've talked to people in Russia, Bulgaria, Moldova, all across Europe, Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, all these different countries. Actually, over 120 countries I've contacted people. I've contacted all 50 states of the United States, not just once, but a band is a set of frequencies. And I've contacted them each state on 6 different bands. So 6 times over. You can do this type of thing. You need your second or third license to do that. Now, I mentioned all the things you could do with your first license. Now, say, you say, well, what if I want to build my antenna? What if I want to build something that collects data? I want to learn how to get it to broadcast my data back to me at my house. How would I do that? Well, the amateur radio tests themselves introduce you to electronics, to basic electronics. And then hams are into electronics, so they can help you out. And they can help you communicate via radio, however you want to communicate. But if nothing else, if no other thing, if you never make a hobby out of ham radio and none of that interests you, remember that. about the times your cell phone has let you down. Spend that 30 minutes a day for a couple of weeks, and that $15 to take that test, that $50 get that handheld, and throw it in the glove compartment, set it on the nightstand, or keep it somewhere just in case you have that emergency. Because when you do and that cell phone doesn't work, you want to be able to communicate. You want to be able to call the fire department, the ambulance, the tow truck, whoever. You want to be able to call family and let them know you're safe. That type of deal, you need that handheld. Other amateur radio operators will relay your messages to, they can use their cell phones if they're not in your area to call out, whatever. And another use for it, suppose, for the second or third test, suppose you're out camping in the middle of nowhere, you don't have cell phone coverage, you want to check your email. Well, if you were a ham radio operator, you would have forwarded your email before you left the house to your WinLink account, to your WinLink email. Well, what's WinLink? WinLink operates on this idea that even if there's a disaster where you are, somewhere your radio can reach is outside the disaster area, and they have internet access, even though the disaster knocked out yours. So they've got radios hooked up to the internet. They're called WinLink servers. So you're out somewhere and you want to send email, you want to check your email. So you use your radio to contact one of these WinLink servers. You send your email over the radio to the server. The server takes it and puts it on the internet for you. And then you're able to receive your emails that were sent to that inbox. And, with your radio hooked up to your computer. So you're able to check your email when you're out and about, There is so much in ham radio. I could talk all night long with the different things. But basically, it's radio communication. It doesn't have to be between two people. You can hook your computer up to the radio. You can communicate computer to computer. Or you can have a little Raspberry Pi out there collecting data for you and transmitting it back to you. There are so many uses. But like I said, the emergency use is something you really want to think about. And maybe you want to take the training yourself to where in an emergency you can help relay messages, you can help communicate, that type of deal. You can do that also. But think about the emergency thing, and that's the most important thing about ham radio, is when your neighbor can't even call for pizza, you can call for the ambulance, you can call for the fire truck, you can call, the hospital, or whatever you need. You can get that message out. So thanks, and I hope you enjoyed it.